Hello everyone, I'm going to do some analysis on this game again because I find it interesting as usual. Please leave any comments about what you think about this game or what I could improve, whether you like it or not, things like that. Would really appreciate that. So let's start with the game. It is Trompovsky A45. And this is called the Borg variation, but that's not very interesting, I guess. The main line goes now C5, and this is the main line. Yes, with the two main moves here being D5 and 92. But, instead of C5 here, which is the main line, D5 was played, which is perfectly good as well. And now this is our main line. C3 is not that common. Bishop D3 or Knight F3 is more common. This is not essential, so let's continue. This has been played by masters, for example. And here I would not really, I would say that these pawns here are not that great, but it's no big deal yet, so let's continue. This move is quite often seen in Trompovsky, so it's played. Knight retreats, and now we continue. Now A3 is, in my opinion, a very important move. It does not have to be played now, because C takes B4 is still possible, but it's a good time and a very good move to play, in my opinion, positionally, because it clamps down on B4 and it kind of closes the A file off. Now black develops and white plays E4, and in this position E4 is, in my opinion, a bad move, because E4 is played too early. White's position is not ready for B4 yet, and E4, sorry, for E4, and it gives away the little advantage that white had, because now black can resolve its double pawns by playing the good move B4. The A pawn is pinned, and after C takes, knight takes, and white's pawns may be a little bit weak here, and black has solved this structural problem here, which seemed kind of unpleasant, in my opinion. So instead of the move E4, just rook D1 could be suggested, getting the rook in a better position than the A file, where it's hindering white's control over the B4 square. So I suggest rook D1, but E4 was played, and now B4 was not played, unfortunately. Instead E6 was played. When I watched the game, I actually thought, I would like to show you that D takes E4 would be good, but it's not. It's about equal. I thought it would be good because after, for example, let's first look at F takes. There is E5, which looks interesting, and after D takes, I thought knight H5, and after bishop moves, regaining the pawn would be good for black, because these light squares are weakened, and the weakened dark squares in black's position are not that exploitable compared to the light squares, but it's equal, and probably white has an advantage here, even though the e-pawn is isolated. Well, I'm not sure. I think this is playable, but After knight 3 it doesn't look that great anymore because the e5 knight is challenged, and well, it just doesn't look that great anymore. So let's look briefly at here after taking knight takes. I didn't have a variation for that, sorry. Here knight d5 looks good in my opinion because it's just a nice knight which can never be dislodged, and the bishop is going to have difficulties getting itself exchanged for it. The bishop is not very great at all. Let's say this looks good. Black has some small advantage here which might grow in future. So let's continue. e6 was played, and now castle's queenside is good because this structure looks kind of solid, but we are going to see that Kingscrusher doesn't care about solid structures. So we have here bishop e2, and this move is not particularly great in my opinion because it allows the move d takes, and white cannot take with the f pawn because the g pawn would be hanging. This gambit would not be very preferable for white, so after knight takes, just knight d5 again, and although this variation looks kind of dangerous, black has sufficient control of the center to defend this apparent attack. So black has an advantage here. After the move h5, which in my opinion kind of justifies the move g4, after g5, which was encouraged, is played, this knight maneuver is starting, and now after this move, bishop e3, bishop e6 is not necessary in my opinion. It gives away the advantage that black had. It's not a big advantage, but for example knight g6 or b4 are moves that can be played without being punished by moves like bishop d6 or something else, because the bishop can be defended and it's not a big deal, and the bishop would rather like to be on this diagonal, but that's not going to happen. It could not happen now because if you play that move, well, it won't really help black. It can at any time the bishop can be challenged here, and well, I was thinking about if bishop 5 and bishop a3, h3, then bishop d3, but it doesn't lead anywhere, so just continue with the game. Bishop here. Now this is good move because the bishop has to be challenged. In some variations the diagonal might be actually very exploitable here. So now king d7 is played, and the bishop retreats, probably anticipating knight g6. Knight g6 is not played, instead b4 is played. This is a very interesting move. My engine thinks it's a bad move. I don't agree with my engine. Black is striving for counterplay, and that's one of the few methods how black can get this counterplay. So after a takes, rook check, and king c2 is probably to be preferred instead of putting knight into this pin. This position is given as equal by the engine. Now bishop takes here is played. That is unfortunately not a sound sacrifice, but it's not necessarily that bad of a move, because white immediately gives black a very nice position by helping the f8 knight, which would look otherwise kind of stranded there. A quick possibility to get in the game, for example here, knight takes e4 was played, but knight takes e4, knight e takes e4, knight e takes d4 would be preferred, because after knight takes b4, knight e2 can be played, defending the pawn. But let me look a little bit at the refutation of bishop takes b4. It starts with c takes b4 instead of bishop takes e6 check. And now after knight takes, there is either rook to d1, which is preventing the loss of the exchange, and the knight on f8 doesn't look very easy to get into the attack, which has to be executed since black has sacrificed material for it. So, well, yes, this is the refutation. After knight d3 check, just king c2, and white is fine. White is actually winning here because of the material advantage with no sufficient compensation. But that was not played. Instead, white helped black's development, and here black has an advantage because the knights are very active. And after this move, knight e2 I think would just about survive here. This move is just terrible in my opinion. I have no idea what white's intention was when he played this move. Absolutely no idea. Now check was played, and black has a crushing advantage here. The exchange is won. Now a pawn is won. Another pawn is won. This move is good, and now white is just completely murdered. Now the best move is knight d3 check, which gets taken. So white resigned here. That was not played. White resigned. So I think this is a very good game, very interesting, because this positional feature of these doubled pawns, which seem to be blockaded here afterwards, helped by inaccurate play of white, became a means of attack on the white king. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed my analysis, and see you next time.